Hey, welcome everybody to another edition of the STRAT Fan Forum Football Show. We're back tonight. Tom and I, we're going to talk about the SOMIFA stretch run. So say hello to Tom in his tropical paradise. How you doing, Tom?
Do not attempt to adjust your screens. This is a very good. That was the first time ever, Dennis. You had good timing on the effect coming in. I applaud you for that. 2 for 2.
There you go. It helps if you have the right sound effects panel up at the right moment, and you're actually thinking of it.
Now, also we have Mr. Crowley live via satellite from San Diego, California, at a warehouse convention or something of like that. What is it?
Data Warehouse Convention. I'm at the San Diego Marriott. So
yes, Data Warehouse Convention or Warehouse Convention, the exact same thing, I'm sure.
I'm sure it is. Yes, absolutely. Grab your storage areas.
Yes, you're talking about forklifts or server capacity.
Absolutely.
Very similar. So
they're actually both the same. You need to put stuff in there and get them out. So what's the difference?
That's right. Now we have Mr. Crowley. We have Mr. Crowley. Dennis is a king of like just getting up and walking away during the shows, leaving me to tend to the bar by myself. He was getting some room service, just a little something. He said that we don't know. I'm speculating that I was speculating, Dennis, that the room service people had forgotten something and they come back to knock on your door. Is it true?
You're absolutely correct.
Let me guess. Was it ketchup?
No, it was not ketchup. It was a ice cream bar. So there you go. Eating healthy.
I would give the ice cream bar, I would view that as a very solid dessert choice. I'd probably give it maybe an A- in my drafting grade to be about a top 9 pick.
Nice.
So it's not too large, so you're not going to feel weighed down overly by it. Like you might by a big old piece of chocolate cake and a glass of milk.
I don't want to. I don't want to fall asleep during the podcast, so that's good.
Well, if you listen to me drone on, I think unfortunately that's going to be the result. Yes, I was supposed to go for the last one. I did the wrong one, but there you go. So yeah, we're doing SOMIFA show. I'm a little tired. You're on the West Coast. You might be carrying the show a little more than I am.
No problem.
You're going to say something? Okay. But
I think that this is our first ever 3-quarter pole show. This is around the turn they come, and down the stretch they come, or something like that. So,
no, that's incorrect, Dennis. We did a 3-quarter show.
We did?
I believe SSFA or something. I remember looking at what people had done in the third quarter and stuff like that.
I see.
I could be wrong about that. I'd have to review, but I'm pretty sure in one of these leagues we did a 3-quarter show, but I'm not positive. So, gotcha. Anywho, now on to the show.
So first of all, what is going on with these people not getting their games played on time? What is happening here?
Well, there has been. Well, you know what it is, Dennis. There is a disturbance in the force.
Oh, I see. The force awakens and the desire to play Stratomatic weekends. Is that what it is?
I think they're going over to the dark side. I'm not sure there's any APBA involved. That could be a catastrophe. But no one wants to play
One of the games that we were waiting to see was the Pittsburgh Steelers against the San Diego Chargers, which has now been put off until.
And we're still waiting to see it.
Definitely. It's TJ's computer has crashed.
Yes. Well, actually, what's happened is we had 6 teams that did not reach the 12-game quota. But I know that Ron Martin, Pittsburgh's coach, had some personal issues that waylaid him. I played him just this past week in a pretty close game. I was only down 25-22 in the fourth quarter,
nice.
thanks to a lot of luck. So that was his issue, and he had told Ed, I think, early on that he probably would not be able to play much at all in quarter 3, but expects to be totally fine in terms of getting all his games in by the end of the season. And, of course, Ron is a long-term responsible coach. That's not an issue. TJ had the computer crash, so that took away 1 game. He does have 11 games in. He's 10-1. Now, Ron has only played 9 games. He's missing 3 games, so that's going to affect other people. For example, the Eagles have got 11 games in. No, his outstanding game against the Giants. Okay. So I don't know if there's any other issues going on with, Renee or the Arizona coach, Bob, whatever. But so Renee's only got 9 games in. Denver's only got 10 games in. Arizona's only got 10 games in. Philly 11, San Diego 11, and Pittsburgh 9. Pittsburgh, I know, had the reason, personal issues, and San Diego has to play Pittsburgh. And
right.
of course,
so there's 3 games there that are going to affect other teams. So.
Yeah, but even so, they're not all playing Pittsburgh.
True.
So anyone who has 10 games or fewer, obviously you play the maximum games you could have. But who knows? Other issues came up for people or whatever. That's very much not like SOMIFA. SOMIFA is the league. Well, I mean, there's a lot of leagues are pretty good with deadlines, but SOMIFA is really good with deadlines. I mean, I'm always kind of I used to be that I was always surprised if we even had one game that was not played by the deadline. But I would say this season and last season, we have started to have 1 or 2 or 3 games not played by the deadline at times for various reasons. Now, again, we should add the deadline is tonight.
Right.
Okay, the deadline is Thursday night, so there may be some games reported. Jeff's pretty conscientious. We're going to Eagles-Giants game in there. So, yeah, we do not – we received this file from Ed 24 hours before the deadline. So there definitely could be a few more games played here. But we're going to take you to task anyway because we have nothing else to do.
Well, where do you want to start?
So let's start with, real quick, let's start with the undefeated Steelers, even though they've only played 1 game since our last show. They beat me 31-22. I was down 25-22 in the fourth quarter. He had turned the ball over a few times, uncharacteristically with Aaron Rodgers, and but then I couldn't stop him, and he came down and did some things or whatever, and my team stinks, and he won. But I do have all the files ready. Point differential now, because Ron's only played 9 games, he's still only third in point differential, 130. But I believe the point differential: San Diego plus 163, Seattle plus 137. I should look at the records first. Pittsburgh's 9-0. Seattle, that's you, 11-1. Who beat you? Who's your one loss against?
It was against Ed. I had a 10-point lead in the third quarter, and Ed was cool, calm, and collective, and put the hammer down to complete the comeback victory. So
I think we were saying Ed was down 10 in the third quarter, broke out a couple of cups of tea, and that was all she wrote.
That's right.
He had some power tea, 3 quick cups in succession, first 4 minutes of the fourth quarter.
He said, losing to Dennis is not my cup of tea. I'm going to win. And that's
there you go. Yes. Now San Diego 10-1. Now there was the big matchup. I had hoped to call that game, but unfortunately we weren't able to arrange it. And you beat TJ. TJ had been undefeated, and we got Titans all over the top of the standings here. But TJ was undefeated, and you handed him his first loss, 23-22. Why don't you speak real quick about that game?
Well, that was kind of the reverse of my game with Ed, where I was trailing in that one. And had to have a lot of things go my way in order to win, but I just kept stuck with the plan, kept plugging away, and was able to pull it off in the last second. So that was a really fun game, a really challenging game. His team is stacked, as you know, and I needed everything to go my way in that. I think, let me see at one point I was down 22-7 and drove down, and that was
only
late.
Scored. He didn't score.
Yeah, that's all he scored, and that was in the third quarter. So he had gotten a touchdown or a field goal to make it 22-7, and then after that, I hit a bomb, got a dump off, got a nice completion from Russell Wilson on an empty flat zone. That game is recorded. If you want to go watch it, you can. It'll become clear that I was very lucky to pull that win off, but I'll take it.
Yeah, well, look, anytime, that's what's amazing to me. This season is so unusual. This is never a league that's this top heavy. But you got Pittsburgh's 9-0, you're 11-1, TJ's 10-1, Ed's 10-2. And we talked about Tim. I perhaps overstated that how disappointed we were that he was only 5-3. Because I don't think we thought he was going to be a 14-2 team. But so if there's nothing wrong with a 5-3 record, but he responded. Boy, did he ever. He responded by destroying Atlanta 32-0. He beat Ed by a field goal, 31-28. He beat Wayne by a touchdown. And then he beat John Madden. The Tennessee Titans were always good by a field goal. So he was only 5-3. Then he rolls off an undefeated third quarter of the season, including victories, close victories over San Francisco and Tennessee. So that's a tremendous job by Tim in the third quarter to move his team up to 9-3 and to be more like where we thought he'd be before the season started. He's got a tough game looming against you. He plays you. That's still interesting in the second half of the season, which I remember from the midseason show, is that all these guys like play each other.
Right.
Your third quarter, you beat TJ. You had a game with Zeb, the defending champ. You already played Ed. You're playing John Madden this quarter. Now I know he's only 7-5, but no one's gonna go to sleep on John Madden. That's a good team he's got there. And you played Tampa Bay. So I mean, it's just it's like the 1970s on like the heavyweight division. You got Ali and Frazier and George Foreman and guys like Ken Norton is still a good fighter and stuff like that. So you don't want to be Jerry Quarry in this scenario. Is basically what we're getting down to. But that's Jeff and me near the bottom of the standings. We're getting quarried.
The great white hopes.
Yes. Now, and Ed's 10-2. Let's see what kind of quarter he had. He won 3 out of 4. Lost to Tim by a field goal, as you mentioned. Beat Green Bay handily, 44-20. Beat Detroit, 24-16. Took care of Cincinnati, handling 35-14. So, like, these teams on top, you got who's Ed lost to this year? He lost to you. And he lost to Tim.
Ed beat me.
He lost to John Madden.
Right.
And then he lost to Tim. So, I mean, like, these really good teams on top, they're only losing to each other. Right. It's like if you get this, like the 10-2 team against like the 500 team this year, you guys are winning every single time, basically.
Yeah, and the thing is too is like my team could be undefeated, but it's nowhere near the best team in the league. So there's that top level of teams, like you said, they're not losing to the teams they shouldn't lose to, and they're coming up with those close wins against the other really good teams because they're still a second tier. There's not like just heavyweights and tin cans. Yeah, there's another tier there that you have Minnesota, Dallas, Green Bay, Tennessee. Those guys can beat anybody on any given day as well.
Well, I do think that Pittsburgh, Seattle, San Diego, San Francisco, and Tampa Bay, I do think you guys are the cream of the league. I do think you guys are a lot better than the other teams, even though Minnesota's done a great job to get to 8-4. No one else is better than 7-5. And I do think Tennessee has the personnel and the coaching, of course, to be a great team. He's 7-5. Now, he lost to Minnesota by 10. He got hammered by Chicago, 30-13. He lost to TJ by 4. Lost to New England by 10. New England's bounced back after a dreadful start to the season. And he lost to Tampa Bay by field goal. So John has actually lost to some of the teams that weren't that great. That's part of why he's only 7-5. But he started off 4-0. John Madden was 4-0. Now he's 7-5. You almost never see that for that type of coach with that type of team.
Right.
And because John has a very good team.
Yeah, so, he's got to play Pittsburgh and Seattle in the last quarter. So he's going to have 2 tough games. Yeah,
so there's a chance that he could finish 9-7, or if he gets upset by Green Bay or Cincinnati, who are decent clubs, they're around 500, I believe. Green Bay 7-5. There's a chance he can miss the playoffs.
Yeah,
I don't think that'll happen.
Right.
That's like the thing you pretty much never see in SOMIFA where the coaching is good. You never see real good coach, good team, dramatically underachieve. You really never, to the point where he's not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be a shock. But that's the kind of thing that you wind up getting a high seed in the playoffs, and then you're matched up against one of these underachieving super teams, and you're like, what? What did I get, the number 2 seed? Now I've got to play Madden? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's still got Big Ben and Jamal Charles and all this and that. I think I picked him to go all the way this year. So, yeah. So probably what will happen is he'll probably have a good fourth quarter. He'll probably beat you or Ron. Maybe Ron will go 15-0, and then John will beat him. And he'll probably get to 10-6, and then no one is going to want to play him.
Right.
Like you said, if you're a top 4 seed, You don't want to see the Tennessee Titans come to town. But nothing against them. I mean, Zeb's a defending champ. Dale's done a real nice job with that team. Ron's done a good job at 7-5. Nothing against those guys. But in that group of four, if you look at those teams this year, I think Tennessee clearly is the best team.
Right.
With Big Ben and Jamal Charles, and still your typical John Madden type of Titans team, which is a pretty good defense, pretty good offensive line.
Yep.
I mean, there's really nothing not to like about his team usually. So he's having some bad luck. I'm not sure what's going on there. Now Dale's 8-4. He's done a nice job. Dale, he's played a lot of close games. He's 8-4. He's only plus 34 in point differential, which is a low number.
He got whipped up by Zeb, and
by you. You beat him by 20, and Zeb beat him by 31.
So that's where the point differential is getting skewed a little bit.
Indeed, yes. Then what kind of quarter? He went 3-1. He had the 34-3 loss to Zeb, who also crushed me, 31-3 or something like that. And it probably could have been worse if he wanted to, but he didn't pile it on. He beat Detroit 29-15, beat Chicago 17-13, beat Cincy 29-16. His other losses have been to Tampa Bay by a field goal, to you by 20, to San Diego by 8. So, I mean, he's had some, let's see any victories in there against real good teams. Not really. But he's had a couple of close losses to the real good teams. Tim Boyer and San Diego. And then he also got blown out by you and by Zeb. So maybe he's a little Jekyll and Hyde when he has to play a real good club. So it could be a little real wild card when it comes to the playoffs. We'll see what happens. And then after him, he's 8-4. Then you get all the 7-5, 6-6 teams. Boy, I said all of that. There's only, Detroit 6-6. There's three clubs 7-5. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are only 9 teams right now that are above 500, and you have to finish above 500 to make the playoffs in this league. You may remember the SSFA a couple of years ago. I think we only had 8 teams in the playoffs. Everyone had a really good record. I lost to John Madden in that stupid game. I threw too many bombs at Manning, and the CJ Spiller fumbled twice in the fourth quarter. But I'm not bitter. But yeah. So that's interesting.
So one of those 5 and 7 teams, there's like 8 of them there, would need to go 4-0 in order to jump into that playoff group.
Yeah, so we'll look at their schedules real quick. Let's take a look at Zeb, the defending champ, is 7-5. He pointed out in his recent post that he's not guaranteed to make the playoffs. Zeb's a good coach. Anytime you have a good coach 7-5, you expect him to make it unless he's playing. Even if he played 4 champions. Let's see. He's got to play. He's got to play Detroit, who's 500. He's got to play Ed, who's 10-2. He's got to play Kansas City, 4-8. He's got to play Atlanta, 5-7. Does Nathan
he's
that team?
He's in.
He should make it.
He'll go at least 2-2.
Yeah, he'll go at least 2-2. Absolutely. And I think we would expect 3-1. He'll go at least 2-2, and he'll be in. The Green Bay, that's Ron Dickinson. Now, this was a team that was rebuilding, I think, for years. And I think he's got Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of his first. Yes, that's correct.
Right.
Okay. And kind of like a young team all around. So it was like his first good year with the young team, which is nice to see. He's got to play me this quarter. He's got to play me. I'm 3-9. Kansas City 4-8. Oakland, which is 5-7, and not a bad team. And Tennessee 7-5. So you got to feel like Ron looks good to make the playoffs.
I agree.
Get to 9-7.
Yep.
And that's a team like nothing against Ron. Like Ron's an excellent coach. He's doing a nice job with his team. But that's more the type of team. If you go 14-2, that's more the type of team you would like to see. And look, you never want to sit there and tell yourself, "Oh, I want to see a particular team."
Right.
Because you feel.
But when they have those the negative point differential, and the other choice is Roethlisberger and Jamal Charles, I think the choice is clear. But Ron is one heck of a coach. Yeah,
I think if Ron was 14-2, he would rather play his own team as opposed to John Madden with Roethlisberger and Jamal Charles as well. But I like to see that a guy does things the way that I like to do things, takes a long view, rebuilds, realizes he can't be patched up anymore, goes for young players, and it starts to work, and he's making the playoffs. That's a nice step for him, So Tennessee, who's he playing? We already did this. Play Seattle and Pittsburgh this quarter. Green Bay, Cincinnati. So that's going to be very interesting to watch. Maybe I'll talk to John. Maybe I'll try and call the game against you and or against Ron I wanted to call some third quarter games. San Diego had a lot of games that didn't work out, but normally I wouldn't say I'll call a game with a 7-5 team in the regular season, but it's kind of interesting. I think what's going to happen to John Madden and SOMIFA's, the big time league basically.
Yep.
So they're the flagship. Now Detroit is that who's that? That's Brad. We had this discussion last time.
Yes, correct.
That's Brad, right? Yeah. So he's 6-6. He went 1-3 this quarter. Not a good quarter for him. Beat Oakland. Look at these low scoring games. Beat Oakland 16-6. Lost 13-10 to Buffalo. That's gonna hurt. Lost to San Fran 24-16. Lost to Minnesota 19-15. So in his 4 games this quarter, Brad scored 10, 16, 16, and 15. 26, 36, 42. He scored 57 points in 4 games. That's not going to want to win you a lot of football games. Now he's going to play Zeb, a defending champion, 7-5. He's got to play Kansas City, 4-8. He's going to play Arizona, 2-8, and he's got to play the Giants, 2-7. So the schedule is certainly very favorable.
That's a favorable schedule. He can go 3-1.
He should go 3-1.
Zeb, and get into the mini playoffs.
But if he stubs his toe against, let's say, Kansas City, because Lawrence always plays to win real hard. Renee, look, almost everybody plays to win, even when they have a bad record. But he could stub his toe against one of these guys, maybe miss out at 8-8. But I think we'd expect him to go 3-1 and make it. Now, can any of these teams at 5-7 run the table? Right if that's bad, I just say no, just because it's hard to do.
Right.
If you're 5-7, I'm asking you to win 4 straight games.
Right.
It's hard to do, but it can. But I think it has happened, and it can happen. Let's see if anyone steps in there. Now, Nathan's interesting. Nathan and I were talking, as we know, the troubles of my Jets team this year. Well, founded. I started off 1-7, and then I was 1-8. Now I'm hot, baby. I'm 3-9. I won 2 of my last. I've never been so happy to be 3-9. It's like, all right, yay, I'm 3-9. And with the schedule I have remaining, I might even get to 6-10 or 5-11, ruining my draft position. But I don't. I'd rather go at least 5-11. If you're gonna be bad, I don't want to be 3-13.
And you get some of the pressure taken off you in the draft because you don't have to. You just take whatever one of the studs falls to you instead of having to figure out which stud is better.
Well, if I was drafting top 3, I would not be feeling too much pressure.
True.
I feel like both quarterbacks and Todd Gurley, you really can't go wrong in making that choice. Who knows how they're going to pan out, but I would have taken one of those 3 guys, certainly.
I'm trying to make you feel better for missing out on one of them. That's the reason. That's my angle right there.
Thanks, Dennis.
5-11, you're not going to get one of those guys.
No. Thank you for being captain optimism. So, but it's funny because Nathan was in the same boat. I think last year he told me because we were talking earlier in the season. I think we probably played each other. Yeah, he beat me in 2013. That was a dreadful game for me. I think I had like 5 turnovers. I was moving the ball all over the place. I couldn't score. And he told me that last year he had a team that kind of like my team this year. He knew it was a bad team. But he had bad teams before that go, 7-9, 8-8, 9-7, maybe sneak into the playoffs, hang around for 3 quarters of the season, But instead, he went like 3-13 or 2-14, and it was a real downer for him,
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm going through this year. Now this year he's doing more what he normally does if he has a team that's not that great. I mean, his team's not that great. They were 3-5. They could have been worse probably. But he's 5-7. He's probably going to go 7-9 or something. Now, can he do 4 straight? 4 straight doesn't look like it. He plays the Giants and he plays Denver, but he also plays TJ and Zeb.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I don't see him going undefeated there. Now the Bears had a bad quarter. The Bears were 4-4. He's got Matt Ryan and Jeremy Hill. No, Matt Ryan and. He's got a couple of backs, like Ahmad Bradshaw's in the mix. Who's his other back? I played this team. I don't remember.
Just double click on it. I thought you were going to double click on it. Let's see it.
Giovanni Bernard.
That's it.
Yeah, so by the way, he'll have a great card next year. He'll have a great card next year, Bernard. Ryan won't be as good, but Ryan's stats aren't bad. And they throw the ball a ton, so... But he was 4-4. Then he dropped 3 out of 4. He beat Houston 2016. He lost to Minnesota by 4. lost to Green Bay by 3, and then he lost to me. I was only at 1-1 at the time by a touchdown. So his team is in bad shape now. He's got to go to New England, and New England only 5-7, but he's playing much better, and it's a pretty good team. I think he's got Phillip Rivers and Lamar Miller, so that's a tough game.
But you got to give it up to Chicago just for the fact that they've given up less than 200 points. That stands out among that group. So he's playing good defense. He's not scoring a lot, but he's playing good defense.
As a matter of fact, the Bears are 3rd in the league in points allowed, 16.1 points a game, and one of only 4 teams giving up under 200 points for the season. So, yes, he's getting it done on that side of the ball. What's interesting, he's 5-7, but he is number 8 in the league in point differential. So that's not something you see too often.
So you could see him maybe pulling things together and running the table to finish 9-7.
Well, he had a 31-0 victory over the Bengals and a 30-3 victory over the Eagles in the first quarter of the season, and he also had a 30-13 victory over Tennessee. But in the close games,
the only problem
with 3 of his wins.
The only problem with that scenario is he plays Ron and Ed, so that's not looking too good.
No, yeah, because he's got to win all 4. You go 3-1, you're out. 8-8, you don't make it. So even if he gets an upset, you guys and New England's not the best. Yeah, he's gonna play Ron. He's gonna play Ed. He's already 5-7, so it doesn't look good for Brad. But he's got a good young team that's developing. He's got a tremendous front 7. Hey, is Justin Houston injured for most of this year? I don't follow him because I don't know any of my teams.
No, he's just was injured recently. He's not playing the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
But I think
I was watching the Chiefs and he wasn't running around. I was like, "Where's Justin Houston?" So
but he's I'll look him up. But he's played at least 8 or 9 games, I think.
So he'll be carded and stuff. Okay, yeah, I think D Ford was running around out there, unfortunately for the Chiefs. But he's going to play New England and St. Louis is 3-9 as well. So tough sledding for Brad. Maybe go to probably get 7-9. Now the Bengals,
just to follow up on that, Justin Houston started 11 games, and he has 7.5 sacks. So he'll get his usual 5-12 or 6-12 type card.
Okay. We'll probably won't get the 6-12-12 or whatever, 6-12-9 or whatever he's been getting in recent years.
He could get a 5-12-2 or something like that.
Yeah, or the Chiefs playing great football, he can get a 6-12 with law or whatever.
Right.
Or at least a 6-10 or 6-11,
Right.
The Bengals, that is Jay. That's Jacksonville Jay, correct?
Correct.
Now, there's no Jacksonville team. There's no Jacksonville franchise in this league. Well, it was Tim Forche's, the late Tim Forche. But okay, I guess Jay, yes, Cincinnati is fine. Yep. He's 5-7. He dropped 3. There's another team that was 4-4. Dropped 3 out of 4. Nobody wants it. What's going on out there? He's 4-4. He dropped 3 out of 4. Beat Arizona by 5. Lost by a field goal to Oakland. Lost 29-16 in Minnesota. And got hammered 35-14 by Ed. In the fourth quarter, he's got to play Ron. He's got to play Tennessee. He's got to play New England, who is the best, I think, of these teams. Houston, and then St. Louis. So Cincinnati also not looking good, probably 6-10, 7-9. Houston, that's Paul. I don't have the predictions in front of me.
I do. Would you want me to tell you what we predicted?
For Paul, yes.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up. I had another window open, but I have my.
I thought you told me I had them, and then it was like no.
I mean, I have them. I have them. I just don't have them. Do you know what I mean? So here it is. Okay, so we had Houston as 10-6 and 9-7. I was the less optimistic. You had them at 10-6.
Bad for me. That's
They could still reach my prediction if they run the table, but that's not going to happen either.
Yeah, he another team. This is why you're going to have like 8 or 9 teams in the playoffs. All these teams that were 4-4, they were losing 3 to 4 games.
Right.
Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. Almost all these 5-7 teams, Chicago, Cincinnati, Houston, they were all 4-4, and they all lost 3 to 4. And I played Paul, lost to me 24-7. My most convincing victory of the season. My defense has finally started playing. I wish they'd done it a little earlier in the season.
I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was anticipating a win there too, so that threw him for a loop.
Well, after the game, Paul said that I was helping him accomplish his goal of drafting earlier than me in the draft this year. It's not going to happen, Paul, unless you lose all the rest of your games, which I don't think is going to happen. But he lost by 4 to Chicago. He beat Kansas City, Lawrence 4-8. He lost to me 24-7, and lost to Nathan 2014. So, Nathan and me, not really that great teams. Paul's team not that great either, but it is Paul. And he does a Drew Brees. You probably wouldn't know. Normally, I think you would have predicted Paul to win those 2 games.
Right.
And then go on his way to at least your 9-7 finish. But he has to run the table. He might have, of the 5-7 teams we've looked at so far, I think he has the best chance of doing it. I'm not saying he's going to do it, but he has the best chance of doing it. He plays Oakland, who's 5-7, pretty decent team. He plays Buffalo, who's 4-8. No Adrian Peterson this year. Plays New England, 5-7, who's done a very nice job. We're going to get to them in a minute because he was bad earlier. He won 3 out of 4. He was 2-6. And now he's got the ship going, heading in the right direction, if you will. That's the new coach, Jeff Wemblett, some of that.
Right.
Jeff W.
You're correct.
And he plays Tampa Bay, 9-3. So he's got to upset Tampa Bay, but Paul's a great coach. He's got to beat all these other teams that are 5-7 and 4-8. He could do it. It could happen.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Right now, gun to your head. Paul Mankiewicz, half man, half Mankiewicz, in the playoffs or not in the playoffs?
Not in the playoffs. It's just too. You can't. Even with the best matchup, you can still lose a game if you get some bad dice. So he just needs to get diced once, and he's 8-8 and out. How about you? In or out?
1 second, Dennis.
Okay. So. As we're looking at these teams, we don't want to forget about the Denver Broncos, who are 4-6. They could be one of those 5-7 teams. They have a game left against Arizona and another against Pittsburgh. So if they somehow are able to upset Pittsburgh and finish the quarter 6-6, then they have the possibility to win 3 out of 4 in the last set. But
yeah, Dennis, I would encourage you to stay in the order of the standings so we don't unintentionally skip teams by jumping down 3 spots, but okay.
You asked me to step in there, and that's where I went. I wanted to point out that just because they're 4-6 doesn't mean they can't be 5-7, just like the rest of them.
We did have New England next, but okay, that's fine. But we'll get back to Denver in a minute because I want to go. I want to go. If I don't go in order, I'm always afraid I'm going to skip somebody, and I think I did skip some people last show. As you had to go, and I was by myself. I may have done that to like one team that was pretty good. But anyway, the Houston Texans, in or out?
What were you consulting your Ouija board to figure out if you're going to predict them in or out? What was the holdup?
I quickly whipped up a spreadsheet to determine whether or not Paul will make the playoffs, and the spreadsheet said, "Stop bothering me. No one else uses them, and they're doing fine." I'm gonna predict that Paul's gonna run the table and make the playoffs.
Wow, I like it.
Lay down the gauntlet.
Sounds good.
Yes, and based upon the way this season is going, he'll probably go 1-3, and I'll be totally wrong. So, because Tim with the Tampa Bay team, if he, in the first half of the season he was playing a lot of close games, it seemed like he had a 32-0 win this quarter, but his other 3 wins were close. Played a lot of close games, so close game, anything can happen. And then I don't know. I've always had faith in Paul, so we'll see. Okay.
Yeah, I like him as a coach. I just think it's too tough to go 4-0 when you have that schedule that he has.
Yeah, Tim's got a real solid team, and Tim's a real good coach, and Tim's 9-3. So, yeah. And even if you had 4 teams that were 5-7 and 4-8, like you said, you get diced in one game, you get a couple bad injuries, you're done. So okay. New England. Now this team is 2-6, starting off dreadfully. This is a team that's got personnel. What do we pick for the Patriots this year?
The Patriots, we predicted 8-8 and 7-9. You predicted 8-8. I predicted 7-9.
Okay, so not as good as I thought, but I know he's got Phillip Rivers and Lamar Miller, which is a pretty nice way to start your team. I think we'd all agree on that. 5-7. He was 2-6. He lost to Wayne 24-3. That hurts. And that was a recent game, I believe. I think the game we just played in the last couple of days. Because before that, He beat John Madden by 10, beat Buffalo 38-24, beat Kansas City 23-9. Yes, he was on a roll. So I think he was 5-6 and could have got to 500 and lost to Wayne, who's got a bad team. Wayne was 2-9. He's 3-9 now.
Yep.
5-7, but still, it's a big improvement from the 2-6 when his only wins were against the Giants and Broncos, who are not doing well this year.
Right.
Down the stretch, Jeff W. has got to play the Bears, Paul Mankiewicz, Minnesota, who's 8-4, and Cincinnati on Jacksonville Jays. So he's got to play 3 5-7 teams and the 8-4 Vikings. So I think even if the New England players continues to play well, the best I think he's going to do is 3-1 and maybe get to 500 and kind of look at that as kind of a moral victory after the way his season started, or he'll go 7-9. What do you think?
I think he has a chance. I think the schedule is of all the other teams we've looked at that are 5-7, he avoids any of those super teams. Yeah, Minnesota's 8-4, but they can be beaten, and I think that he doesn't have to worry about Pittsburgh, Seattle, San Diego, San Francisco. So I think he has a good chance to finish ahead of Paul.
Sure.
So, just because of the schedule, not because of the quality of the team or the coaches, but the way the schedule's laying out.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, it does seem like all the other teams have got to play at least one of the super teams. Minnesota's got the 8-4 record. Dale's done a real good job with them. I think that's more a testament to his coaching than to his personnel. I do think they are a step below the 9-3 and above teams, so that's an advantage for Jeff W. But too big a hill to climb. Probably 7-9 or 8-8. I'm going to give him 8-8 because he's playing good football. We'll see what happens. Now Oakland. I think we'd all like to see Oakland make the playoffs. It'd be nice for Nelson, who's been in the league a long time. He's been struggling a little bit. He always seems to have these teams that go 6-10, 7-9, are pretty decent, but just not enough to get over the hill. I think that's what we thought of his team this year. I can't imagine we predicted him for the playoffs. What do you predict for Nelson this year?
He's actually exceeding our expectations. We predicted him for 5-11 and 6-10. So he's at 5-7 right now.
Who said 5-11? Probably me.
Yeah, you did.
I'm such a mean bastard. Okay. All right. He's 5-7. He went 2-2 this quarter. He was 3-5. He beat Cincinnati in a 10-7 barn burner. And then he beat, I love that when you play like a modern stretch football 10-7. Then he beat Lawrence. A lot of people beat Lawrence, 26-7. Lost by 10 to Detroit, lost by a field goal to Wayne. Wayne won 2 games this quarter, as I did. Wayne only had 1 win coming into the second half of the season. So Wayne and I playing ourselves out of the favorable draft position. The Oakland 5-7, they got Alex Smith, we know. I think Chris Johnson and
let me say one thing about this, because I think that's another testament to the coaches in SOMIFA, is you don't see guys tanking to get that Gurley or Winston or Mariota. There, in other leagues, it's pretty obvious when somebody's, has 1 win halfway through the season, and then the rest of the way they just throw in the towel. I like the fact that guys like you and Wayne are still giving it your best effort, and Lawrence, nobody's just laying down saying, "Hey, I want that top pick."
Oh, you should have seen me against Ron. It was a close game, and Ron's undefeated. I was like, "Oh God, if I could win this game, I would salvage my whole season, even if I go 6-10." I could see that. I could see the forum post. It'd be 4 pages long. and then he lined up for the extra point.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, but well, let me ask you a question. Why do you think that is? Since you said you have more time tonight, we can go into a little more depth. Why do you think that in SOMIFA, and there is no lottery, it's straight record, why do you think guys don't seem to tank ever? Whereas I guess you're saying you play in a lot of leagues where you're saying that in other leagues, it certainly seems like guys are tanking at times.
I just think it's the integrity of the coaches. I don't think there's anything more complicated than that. Guys don't want to be known as somebody who's going to throw a season just to get that top pick. So
but now it's funny because like when I hear the integrity of the coaches, I'm thinking, okay, each guy is just not the type of guy who would do that. But I'm wondering if it's also that like SOMIFA became this place, and this is the 14th year I think of SOMIFA. Okay, it's become this place where there's all these really, really good coaches, and a lot of us have been in this league for a real, real long time. And like you said, like guys remember, and like you said, no one would want to be known as the guy who was tanking the games, to get the first pick in the draft. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I think there's like this it's a very competitive environment. So it's like guys like, no, I'm going to do it the right way, and I'm going to compete and try to win the right way. And I'm going to show up for every game and play to win. Look, do you bear down and coach as hard to win when you're 2-6 as you do when you're 11-1 and fighting for the 1 seed? No, but the guy still coaches hard, as opposed to like, yeah, whatever, I'll throw a bomb or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And then the other thing too is I think that we've built up rivalries over the years. So maybe you go into a game saying, I'm just going to, win or lose, I'm fine either way. But then you're like, man, I got this guy in the ropes. I'm going to nail him. I'm going to put the hammer in him and pull off the upset. So maybe there's some of that going on too.
Yeah, I really do think it is. Yeah, there's a few things going on, and I do think, like you hit on, you don't want to be known as that guy. It's like everybody tries so hard, and it's so hard to win in this league. I think guys really do try. They don't tank. And we'll mention that when we get to Jeff Booker, who just did his team a disservice by winning a game. He went to Marcus Mariota in the worst way. But anyway, Oakland, back to Nelia, but it is really interesting to me. SOMIFA is kind of a special place that way. I really do believe, and I'm only in a couple of the leagues and stuff like that. But I can almost never remember a guy just going through the motions against me in SOMIFA. I mean, I might have had a game like a couple of years ago. We were both like 3-9. We were both like 4-9, and we were just like sick of it and just like whatever. Let's get through the game. But we still weren't like, just like doing stupid plays. We were just playing real fast. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we still playing to win. I mean, Paul could tell you, I took a year and a day coaching against him. I was like, I got a chance to win a game. I'm 1-8. I need to win here. I was 2-8. I was like, I don't want to be 2-14. I was going to the Super Bowl in that game. So nice. Paul was right like, oh, come on, Tom, let's go here. I'm known for playing slowly, so I apologize to the people, the public. Zach Stacy has 5 carries for 15 yards. That's worth noting. He's got C.J. Anderson. That's Alex with C.J. Anderson. That's not a bad little 1-2 for this year. He's 5-7, and he's got to play Minnesota 8-4. He's got to play the Giants, who are struggling 2-7. He's got to play Green Bay 7-5, and Houston 5-7. Interesting. I mean, again, Minnesota. We're not trying to kill Dale. They've done an excellent job with the team and stuff like that. But we just feel like of the teams with the real good records, you feel like you have a better chance if you're a 5-7 team against Dale than you do if you're playing Seattle or San Diego or Pittsburgh.
Exactly.
Who combined have 2 losses. So I guess that's self-explanatory.
No, but I mean, I would expect. I mean, Nelson could go 4-0, but I expect him to go 2-2. And finish it.
I think you're right.
At 7-9. Yep.
Yeah, but he's not done a bad job drafting in the last few years.
Oh, it's on the way up. It's on the way up.
So hopefully he can break through one of these years and get in there. So the Denver Broncos, Dennis, I heard that they were 4-6. I don't know if you were paying attention.
They could be 5-7. They could just be right in the middle of these 5-7 teams.
And the Broncos, that's Tony. Who started out in SFA and then came to SOMIFA, if I understand correctly.
Correct.
He is going to play Arizona, who is 2-8. So you like his chances in that game. He's going to play Pittsburgh 9-0. You don't like his chances in that game. But you never know. He could upset Pittsburgh. If they don't go 16-0, someone will beat him. And so if he's 5-7, he's going to play San Diego, Seattle, Minnesota. Good night, nurse.
Yeah.
Boy, Tony. The cards have not been kind to you. His last 6 games, he's got to play Pittsburgh, San Diego, Seattle, and Minnesota 4 of the 6 games.
That's rough.
That's not conducive.
And Atlanta, remember, that's Nathan, so that's no easy game either.
I know, but I'm saying the other 4 games. Despite the other 4 games, you guys have a combined 6 losses. The other 4 games, he's playing 38-6 It's a combined record of the other. He's 4-6. They're 38-6.
Yeah,
So
that's not good.
the odds makers would not be looking favorably on Bonnie's chances. But if I recall, that's a complete rebuilding team.
Yes.
FedEx old team. He had all the first-round picks this year.
Right.
First-round picks. He's future-oriented. So even winning 5 games is not bad. He already won 4. So, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I lost to him. No, I didn't play him. Okay. It's always about the Jets.
We had him predicted at 7-9 and 6-10. So
Who predicted 6-10?
I did. So I think my prediction.
I was more optimistic. You're better. Your predictions, I hate to admit it, were better in SSFA. I think it was one of these leagues we did it. You were way better with the predictions.
Yeah,
I was upset about that.
That's all right.
I get upset about a lot of things apparently. So
yeah. Well, remember,
I wasn't.
Go ahead.
I wasn't Marquez Wilson upset, but I was upset.
Oh, right. But I'm going to add a little fuel to the fire because if the Seahawks win this weekend, they're going to be in the playoffs, and you're going to owe me $20. Think about that. Are you having that?
I was going to email you.
Are you having that, my friend?
And remind you that it looked like you were going to get your $20. I think I picked the Falcons to go 10-6, and they have not won a game since. I think they were probably 6-2, and have I think not won a game since I predicted them to beat the Seahawks for the playoff spot to go 10-6. Hey, look, the Seahawks.
It's the curse. It's the curse of Tom Cook. He put a shillelagh upside the head of the Atlanta Falcons.
And it's an Irishman too, Matt Ryan.
That's right, Irish to Irish, Crowley to Cook. Look at that. It's the Irish. We should call ourselves the Irish Boys or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds a little homosexual or something. I don't know. Come listen to the Irish Boys. That's I wouldn't want to click on that link. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, because
nothing against the gay community, but I wouldn't want to click personally. I would not want to click on that link.
Hey, it's the home of the river dancers, so you never know.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah. Now I feel unclean. But anyway, Buffalo Bills. What were we just talking about? We were talking about the Seahawks. Yeah, look, the Seahawks, they got their mojo back. Russell Wilson playing great football.
My goodness, why did Thomas Rawls have to get hurt? Why did he have to get hurt?
That injury really hurts. But don't worry, they've re-signed Christine Michael. So nice. I'm pretty sure that he'll get 3 carries for 8 yards somewhere down the stretch.
Yes, Bryce Brown is actually going to be the main man, from what I understand.
That makes sense. It's surprising to me that these teams, the Patriots, do it too. That they feel like they can cut some of these guys and bring guys in like late in the season with no problem. It's like it's like DeJuan Harris was good enough to be a 3rd string back, and then good enough to be a 2nd string back until he had to use him. And they said no, he's not good enough anymore. I'm going to cut him. It's like, wow.
Yeah, the guy carries for like 2.6 yards per carry in the same game that Rawls was running for like 7 yards a carry. So
okay, fine, but he's not Thomas Rawls then. You know what I'm saying? Obviously.
Right, but he's not even like a below, close to average back. He was terrible. I'm not sure why he kept hanging on. So
yeah, but I'm just saying, why would you have the guy on your team? Is he a good special teamer? I think especially no. But I was also surprised. I mean, didn't they cut Robert Turbin like around the time that they were cutting Christine Michael?
Well, no, they traded Christine Michael, and Robert Turbin had a high ankle sprain.
Yep.
So he was waived with an injury settlement, and they wanted to bring him back. But when they waived him, Cleveland claimed him, and then
and they cut him, and Dallas cut him.
Right. That's when they should have jumped on him, is when Cleveland cut him. But Dallas probably had a higher priority anyway, so
sure.
Maybe they did try to get him back, but
he seemed like the type of guy. I was even with the injury, I was surprised they cut him.
Right?
Like, they should. He's been a good backup running back for them for several years now. A lot of people felt. Well, I know Tim Bollier has had him on his team and has been kind of feeding for the day Marshawn Lynch would fade away and Robert Turbin would come to the fore, but it didn't happen that way. It didn't happen for Christine Michael either. It happened for Thomas Rawls.
Right, but they obviously saw what we saw in Thomas Rawls in the preseason, and they knew that they can get rid of Michael, no big deal,
sure.
or Turbin. But,
and Michael, he had been picked up by the Redskins practice squad at one point. So he's like, even it's on the team he started the season with, he's on his 4th team of the season, which is usually not a good sign.
No, I agree.
There was all kinds of stories, like you said, after Seattle cut him, about him like not knowing his blocking assignments and being a little bit of a malcontent. And then it's not like he was tearing it up on the field anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, I was very optimistic when Dallas picked him up because I was a big Christian Michael. I drafted him in 2 leagues. But obviously, no.
I listened to you. I believe that. I believe the hype. I drafted him in one of my spring leagues as well.
Okay.
But
don't believe the hype.
Anyway,
yeah. Buffalo Bills 4-8. Isn't it great? No, it's not great. 4-8. He was 3-5. He's doing about what you'd expect. Life without AP not as good, and a veteran team. He beat Detroit 13-10, lost by 2 touchdowns to New England, lost 40-7 to John Madden, lost 38-30, an exciting game to you. Well, he's not going to make the playoffs. He's going to play Pittsburgh. Oh gosh, he's got to play Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, and San Diego.
Not looking good.
And then Houston. The best he's going to do is go 5-11. He might finish 4-12. What do we predict for him? Because this is a team that's normally near the top of the standings, or at least 10-6.
Yeah, that was a bad one for me because I had you had him at 7-9.
Okay, so we both were over predicted. But normally they get Adrian Peterson, and now right now they don't. So I think there's some other chinks in the armor in that team. But that's Scott, I think, right? It was a very good
coach.
GM. So I think you'll see that team, rebounding. Of course, Adrian Peterson comes back, and that always helps.
Yeah, he'll be a monster.
Rusher. Yeah, absolutely. Especially with Teddy Bridgewater doing absolutely nothing as a quarterback this year. I think he's still waiting to throw his 10th touchdown pass. I'm not certain about that, but
wow.
Are you surprised with Teddy Bridgewater's play this season?
Well, he looked good finally against Arizona, but yeah, I don't understand why he hasn't been throwing the ball downfield. It's been all dink and dunk. He has 9 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and his average per attempt is where is it? 7.1. I guess it's not that bad, but I thought he's had games where he's like 5.5 average per attempt or 6.0.
Yeah, he did those games of 18 for 25, 151 yards or something, right. No touchdowns, no interceptions, and you just look at that and you're like, ugh,
Yeah.
Now he's only a second-year guy and he's very young. I think he's only 22, 23.
Yeah, he's 23.
And look, he's got a good completion percentage. He's not turning the ball over, so those things are good because those are usually problems for young quarterbacks. But I think if you drafted him high thinking he's going to do real well, you're a little disappointed. And they probably had a conservative offense because of AP and because of defense.
Remember Christian Ponder's first 2 years in the league? He's going to have a card like that with a very good flat pass card because he's got a 65% completion percentage. But besides that, it's not going to be much in the other columns.
Yes, interesting. But, look, quarterbacks are going to take a while to get going. And it's not like he's doing awful. So so you got to be patient with him.
If he can build off that Arizona game, because that was against one of the league's best secondaries, he had over 300 yards, his high for the season. He threw almost 9.3 yards per attempt and 70% completion percentage. That's a nice game to build on, his best game of the year. So if he finishes hot, maybe those stats won't look so bad.
Yeah, I'm just saying 9 touchdown passes in 12 games in the modern NFL.
Well, he had 14 last year. So.
Matt Hasselbeck has 8, just for comparison.
Right. I'm sure somebody like Case Keenum is hot on his tail to catch him.
Could be. He had a couple tonight. Winston's got 18.
Yeah.
Winston's got 18 touchdowns, and that doesn't even include tonight. Well, they already played week 13. And Mariota's got 19. So, of course, those guys don't have AP running. Although Doug Martin is the number 2 rusher in the NFL coming to this week, but still. So, but yeah, if I had Bridgewater, I would have hoped for a better. I like the completion percentage. The average gain is fine for a second-year guy. The interceptions are good.
Well, let's go.
I know touchdowns aren't everything, but I just would like to see 15-8. Would that have been too much to ask?
Okay, so rank the quarterbacks again that were available, that are going to be available in the spring drafts. So you got Derek Carr, Teddy Bridgewater, Blake Bortles, and Johnny Manziel.
I would go. I would say that Derek Carr is the only one that I would really want if I was drafting very highly. I would probably. You see, I'm putting a lot of faith, and I know you hate the stat, and I know there's been a lot of problems with it. But hear me out before you interrupt me. I've mentioned this a couple times on the air in the last year. ESPN had an article last year. They looked at their fancy total QBR stat that they're trying to shove down everyone's throat and that no one cares about. And they pointed out that guys who had a cumulative total QBR of, like, I think it was 42 or higher in their first 20 NFL starts over the first 2 years, going back to like 1999, like 19 of those 20 guys had been at least pretty good. And like only like one guy who didn't hit that was good, which was Joe Flacco. Okay. And Carr and Bridgewater hit the mark. Blake Bortles did not hit the mark. Now Blake Bortles got 30 touchdowns. Okay, and he runs well, and he only has 13 picks and 501 attempts. So I think but I'm terrible at evaluating future quarterbacks. So I would go Derek Carr. I would feel comfortable with and happy with, and I would take him very highly. I would not take any of the other guys probably, or if I took them, I would not feel very confident in what I was getting out of them. My spring team needs a future quarterback. I got Peyton Manning. I don't want to reveal too much because, of trades and stuff, but I always do. So whatever, I would have a hard time. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's only 6 weeks from now. If I'm drafting fourth and Blake Bortles is there, if I'm drafting fourth, let's say for argument's sake, not in any order, but let's say in argument's sake that Khalil Mack, Aaron Donald, and Derek Carr are the first 3 picks. Not in any order, but just whatever. Let's say those are the first 3 picks, theoretically. Right. Yes. Even though I think Blake Bortles will probably be in the top 3. And Blake Bortles, I mean, he looked like he's throwing a lot of bombs. He's got over 30 touchdowns already.
He's got great weapons.
Yes, including Allen Robinson, who told you about him.
Yep.
And he runs the ball, but he only completed 57.5. I don't think anyone else cares about the ESPN total QBR. Bortles will probably be a top 2 pick. I mean, if you were picking a young quarterback and you were watching the NFL this year,
but aren't those numbers that Blake Bortles is putting up similar to what Andrew Luck put up in his first or second year?
His second year?
Maybe not his second year, but it's maybe his rookie year. I mean, 57%, 30 touchdowns. That sounds like Andrew Luck.
Well, maybe, I don't know, but I don't care about that because I care about the ESPN total QBR stat, and his is much worse than Andrew Luck's was.
Yeah, Andrew Luck, his rookie year, 54% completion percentage, 23 touchdowns, 18 interceptions.
Yeah, was Bortles' second year, not his rookie.
Yeah. Okay, so a second year, 60% completion percentage, 23 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
Yes.
I think I think I would feel very comfortable getting Bortles at number 4. I think he still has got a very bright future with those weapons around him. That defense gets better. All of a sudden, he doesn't need to do as much. I think that I still think you said his QBR rating was predictive of future success.
No, I did not. No, I did not. But Blake Bortles' QBR rating was not a predictive of success. It was predictive of failure.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Derek Carr and Bridgewater's was. Blake Bortles wasn't.
Gotcha.
And of course, Mariota's and Winston's both is.
Right.
Because they've been having 5 rookie seasons. So, I mean, for me, to me, and Blake Bortles looks the part. He's a big, strong guy. He's firing the ball down. I mean, he looks like, this guy could be that like Dan Marino, type of guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He looks like the guy that can throw for, 4,800 yards and 40-something touchdowns. Shoot, he's got 3 games left. He might throw 40 touchdowns this year. He's got 30 touchdowns. He only needs 10 touchdowns in 3 games. He's going to throw for like 4,400 yards.
Right.
He's at a minimum. Unless he has a terrible game somewhere. At a minimum, he's going to throw for like 4,400 yards and like 36 touchdowns, like maybe 16 and 17 interceptions, and he's run the ball well.
Right.
So I mean, he's very exciting. He could be the first pick in the draft. I think most people will view Blake Bortles as the best quarterback in the draft, possibly hands down. I think they view Derek Carr maybe a little more.
No, I think Carr is overtaking him. I think Carr is going to be the number 1 pick in most of the spring drafts.
For me, I prefer Derek Carr. I would take Derek Carr.
Oh, absolutely.
I think a lot of people might like Bortles better. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think Carr has shown so much of a leap that he'll go first, and he'll go ahead of Bortles in almost every single spring draft that I know of. So we'll see.
Yeah, you never know. So you don't think that there are? So you think that 90% of the guys out there like Derek Carr a lot better than Blake Bortles?
Now, after this season, yes,
Yeah,
I
right
think it
now.
goes. I think it goes. Yeah, as of right now, it goes.
90%.
Carr.
90% of the guys.
Yes,
Wow.
absolutely.
Okay. I think it's close. I think it's more like 50-50. I really do. I like Carr better, but I mean, Carr's like savvy, like kind of complete, kind of accurate, kind of smooth. Bortles, Bortles, it's more like Bortles is more like a Phillip Rivers type of, I think Bortles gonna put up bigger numbers than. I'm not saying that I like Bortles. I'm saying I think guys are going to think. I think guys are going to view Bortles as the much more explosive of the two quarterbacks.
Okay,
The Bortles will be more like a Phillip Rivers, and Derek Carr will be maybe more like. Gosh, it's hard to find a comparison to Derek. More like, I don't know, pre-injury Carson Palmer. That's still pretty good. I don't know. I don't know who to compare Derek Carr to, really. I like Derek Carr. Derek Carr for me is hands down the better quarterback that I would take, because look at the stats he's got this year: 62.2, 28 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
Yep.
He's only got one receiver. Well, I mean, Crabtree's there, but he doesn't get sacked much. I feel like Carr is just like a much safer pick. Bortles is more. I don't think Carr's ever going to throw. I don't think Carr's ever going to challenge 5,000 yards and 49 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Bortles, I think, could possibly have that kind of upside to do those kinds of things.
I'm going to put a poll on the forum asking who would be the top quarterback on your board in the spring drafts. And let's see what the percentages break down to. Because in the fall, it was Teddy Bridgewater overwhelmingly the number one.
Yes.
Bortles number 2, Carr number 3.
One thing is clear.
Reverse.
One thing is clear that Bridgewater is nowhere near the top 2 in the spring drafts.
Yes.
Carr and Bortles Carr and Bortles would be way favored over Bridgewater right now. Don't you think so?
I agree. I agree, but I still think Bridgewater is the number 1 pick, our first round pick.
Well, first round pick. I mean, there's 24 picks in the first round. I mean,
maybe a top 10 pick even.
I think he'll be a top 10 pick. Look, if you need a quarterback and Carr and Bortles go, no one's gonna. You might draft Bridgewater. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know. Carr might be the only one I'd take in the top 4, but for me, a very interesting question is, where is Johnny Football going to go? I mean, that is such crazy. Now, let's say he plays fairly well the rest of the way, okay? Because
I think he goes in the middle of round 1 or the late round 1 at the latest. He's showing some stuff right now.
Let's take a look at. Yeah, he showed me that Dom Perignon bottle in that picture a couple weeks ago. So let's take a look at Mr. Van Zel. I have to say, I know that the NFL wants corporate, button down, face of the franchise type of guy as a quarterback. And if Manziel's an alcoholic, that's obviously extremely serious.
Yes.
I'm not convinced he's an alcoholic. I'm not an expert in that. I have known alcoholics. I think he wanted to rehab for his reputation and to make people think that, he's getting things straightened out, and to, of course, not knowing the guy at all, but, to make it, to make Cleveland more likely to give him a second chance. But to be honest, if you have no quarterback like Cleveland, if you have no other quarterback, okay, and, you got a second-year guy who was tremendous in college. He's got 159 attempts. He's completing 61%, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, a 1.9 interception percentage. You got a 4.4 rushing average. He's not going to run like he did in college. He's not that fast. Okay, those are not bad numbers, and he's only 22. And it's and he still only started about 6 NFL games. So if he's going to go and party when he's off, if he comes to work on time and he puts in what he's supposed to do at the office, then as long as he's not getting DUIs, as long as he's not doing any hard drugs, as long as he's not having a domestic violence incident, then let him do what he wants off the field.
You know what? That would have worked in the 1970s.
Why wouldn't that work now? Hold on. If he was playing for Jerry Jones and Rex Ryan, and they were like, yeah, whatever, as long as you show up, why wouldn't it work?
It would take that special kind of front office and coach. I just think that you, as a leader of your franchise, you don't want somebody who's going to lose control potentially by, you've seen some of the stupid stuff he's done when he's drunk. I mean, yeah, he might not be an alcoholic.
So what?
The kid is just like
He likes to
ridiculous. He likes to party. He likes to get in people's faces and start fights because they wanted his autograph and he didn't want to give it. And
look,
likes to go around with a posse.
Look, would you rather have would you rather have squeaky clean Marcus Mariota? Sure. Would you rather have a guy who says all the right things and behaves like Russell Wilson or one of these guys? Sure. Okay, but I'm saying you don't have the choice to get the guy. Cleveland's not about to acquire, Russell Wilson or Derek Carr or whoever. You know what I'm saying? So now I think in Cleveland he's worn out his welcome, even though they're going to fire Pettin. Okay, but I mean, if you're a team if you're a team that has no quarterback, if you're the Houston Texans, if you have no quarterback, and you think this guy can play at the NFL level, but he can do all this other stuff off the field, I feel like you should be a little more liberal and tolerant of it. The guy's off work. Now, do you give him a huge contract? Do you feel 100% confident that nothing's gonna blow up in your face? Of course not.
You have no problems with him lying to the coaches when they ask him.
No, I have a lot of problems with that. I have a lot of problems with that. I have a lot of problems with that, and I would still continue to look for a long-term quarterback solution in the draft. But if I have the guy on my team already and he's not making a lot of money, okay, and he's way better than my options, Austin Davis, or if I'm a team like the Texans that really could use a quarterback, okay, I would be okay bringing him in cheaply.
They had a knucklehead. They had a knucklehead in there cheaply. His name was Ryan Mallett, and he's gone now.
Yeah, Ryan Mallett's completed 54% of his passes. And throwing an interception. He wasn't doing that well.
I guess that's what it comes down to. If he performs on the field, you're going to be a little bit more lenient.
Of course. If he sucks, I don't want him there. And if he sucks, I don't want him there no matter how nice he is.
Right.
I'm sure there's a lot of really nice, I'm sure there's a really nice, my next door neighbor's a nice guy. I don't want him quarterbacking for the Jets.
Absolutely. You're right.
He has trouble reading defenses.
But you have to agree that it's just a different environment from a political correctness, whatever it is. Teams are less tolerant in this social media where everything shows up on the air 10 minutes after it happens kind of environment.
Oh, of course it is. I'm not arguing that it's not a different environment. Look, if Johnny Manziel is your starting quarterback, okay, it's going to be a circus, okay, outside the building, okay? But I really believe that all the outside stuff, okay, unless you're talking about DUIs, unless you're talking about, physical fights, unless you're talking about hard drugs, and there was the picture of him with a rolled up dollar bill, so that makes me concerned. Unless you're talking about domestic, violence and stuff like that. And look, if I brought him in, I'm not saying I would feel like, oh, great, we have Johnny, there's not going to be any problems. He's not going to do any of these things, okay? But if my choices are, the scrub of the month club, the Hoyers and these type of guys, Austin Davis, okay, or a guy who might actually play really well, then now every case is different. Every case is different, but in Manziel's case, from what I've seen so far, and he's so young, I would be like, if I have nobody, I would rather have him than whatever veteran scrub, I'm going to bring in to be my quarterback, for a few years. Or if I already had him, certainly if I already had him. But look, if Cleveland's drafting high this year, if there's a quarterback in the draft that they really like and he's there when they draft at number 4 or 5 or 6, wherever the hell they're always drafting, then yeah, take the guy. The guy, and then maybe, then cast off Manziel. I'm not saying give Manziel the keys to the franchise, but I'm saying if you end up with no other good options, then I would be okay making him the option. Now, maybe not in Cleveland because of what he did to Pettin, but they're going to fire Pettin anyway, probably.
Okay, so let's take this to strat terms. You need a quarterback.
I would be terrified of drafting him.
Where would you draft him? You need him. Okay. Let's just say you have a high first round pick, a mid first round pick, and a pick at the end of the first round. You've You've traded away all those guys you offered in the forum. Johnny Manziel is there at every one of those picks. Are you taking a chance that he's going to be there at the next pick?
I draft him. I'll draft him 3 times. No. Let's see. Now, look, my SSFA team is in this boat. I have Peyton Manning. His career is over, which I predicted before the season. Although he says he might play next year. God, just go away, Peyton.
He'll be the Texans quarterback next year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like Joe Namath on the Rams. But now if he plays the last 3 games and ends up with similar numbers to these, numbers.
Yep.
So let's say he ends up like 260 attempts, 61 completed. Let's say like 11 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Right.
I would probably be comfortable drafting him around number 21.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, and I would agree with you. I might not draft him until the 2nd round, but I would probably miss out on him because of that.
But I would know drafting him that
it's a wild card.
It's a total wild card pick. It might be a total wasted pick. But that's another thing is it's STRAT and SOMIFA, if as long as the guy gets 100 attempts, he could play. So if he has some problems and gets suspended and gets benched in future years, but still puts up decent numbers, he can still have a decent STRAT card. True. So I'm getting more out of him stratomatic wise than an NFL team is getting when they want the guy to be the starting quarterback and he's only playing 6 games.
Right, but there's just a higher chance that he'll wash out of the league and not be giving those 2nd and 3rd and 4th chances.
Yes, it could be a completely busted draft pick, but if I rebuild, and I might not now, but if I do rebuild, I'm gonna have a lot of picks and stuff like that. So, I could maybe take a little more of a gamble with him. I'll tell you this: I would not draft Johnny Manziel over Teddy Bridgewater. I would not do that. But in some ways, I would be more interested in getting Manziel very late 1st round, as opposed to getting Bridgewater number 8.
I would agree with that. Actually, that's a good point. So
but anyway, and that
was a fun little tangent. I like that. I put the poll up. We'll see what everybody says.
Yeah, so you're gonna ruin my chances of getting Derek Carr now. Is what you're doing? Okay, but moving on.
You had no chance of Carr. Where did you draft in that league?
Well, I drafted 4, but I'm not sure if you saw my post, Dennis. But I have some things up for trade.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, you could do that. You did the same thing with getting Luck. So you could put a package together.
Yes.
Get to work, young man. Get to work.
I did the same thing for Michael Vick when he's going to have the great Philly card.
Nice.
And I won the championship with that card. But I digress. Not like Peyton Manning, who had like 2 touchdowns and 6 interceptions for me in 5 career playoff games. Oh, it was great. I looked it up after I lost the Super Bowl because even though I made the Super Bowl, I was like winning games like 17-13 in the playoffs. And Manning was just he couldn't throw a touchdown for me in the postseason. I looked it up like earlier this year. I have to look it up again. I swear he played like 4 playoff games for me. I think he had like 2 touchdowns and like 6 picks.
Wow.
When in the regular season, he was throwing like he was throwing like over 4,500 yards and like 39 plus touchdowns. You would think that in 4 playoff games he could manage 5 TD passes. Is that too much to ask?
I know. And a lot of times you'll see guys say, hey, Peyton's the same way in the playoffs as he is in the NFL, in the STRAT playoffs. But some of that is just,
Actually, it's worse.
It's just the self-fulfilling prophecy. People expect it to
that's
be bad.
Correct. Yes. I was intentionally throwing way more incomplete passes than I did in the regular season because I wanted that self-fulfilling prophecy. That's right.
Yep.
Like the 17 long pass 0 mins against Jay. But there were no 0 men. I'm exaggerating. Jay knows. But anyway, he coached a great game of defense. But if I do rebuild, Manning will go. He'll go cheaply. I'll trade him Randy. Randy's got a good team because he's a quarterback. I'll trade him Manning.
Yeah, do it.
He'll probably send me a hostile response. Like when I tried to trade him a 5th round pick for who's the guy in Green Bay? Johnny Jolly?
Yeah.
He was like a 35-year-old like defensive end, like 6'0". I have a 5th round pick and he got insulted.
That was 5-0.
I was like, the guy's going to be like nothing next year. He's like, I don't care. He's still blah, blah, blah. So his team went like 5-11, and then the guy was like out of football.
Right. Silly.
But from his standpoint, I can understand that he felt that I should offer more. I can see that. So, and Randy's a good GM. So, Kansas City Chiefs. Lawrence's team 4-8. They're getting hammered. They look like they're we're not going to spend a lot of time in the bottom of the league, a little bit, but
Yeah, let's just skip it.
no, don't skip the bottom of the league. I never do it.
Come
Even when I'm on the
on.
top of the league, we just spent 20 minutes on Johnny Manziel. I can't spend 5 minutes on the Chiefs.
Never mind. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Lawrence, it's clear that Dennis is hostile to the lead teams at the bottom of the standings.
I'm
We're going
a
to pool our teams together and make one super team that will beat you. Yes.
It was actually I was going to rush off because my son texted me that he needed my help with something at home, but then he figured it out himself. So there you go.
So there you go. See, sometimes you let the young lads fend for themselves. It's a learning tool.
Yep.
And that's a good way to rationalize parental neglect. Okay. But the Chefs, he's getting outscored by 111 points. Wow. He's 4-8. He was 3.
I think he has like a plethora of zeros on his defense, so that makes it tough. It's
interesting. Lawrence has had a couple of teams in these leagues with real good offense and real bad defense, and when he has those real bad defense, he is giving up a ton of points.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it happened in SSFA.
Yeah.
He is 22nd in the league. He's giving up 26.7 points a game, tied with me, but I was last in the league, so I'm improving.
Nice.
That's not good. And team defense is actually not as bad if I didn't sort this properly.
Oh, yeah. I remember now. Lawrence traded Tom Brady for a draft pick or some draft picks and Colin Kaepernick. So he's trying to win with Colin Kaepernick's card. That's where that record's coming from.
Well, trying to win is putting it generously, but he's using Colin Kaepernick and he's trying to win the games. But I think he's aware that it's hard to try to win with Colin Kaepernick. He's trying to win, but you know what I'm saying. He's actually middle of the pack in the opponent defense. He's probably very bad in the plus minus, which we have now for the first time. Oh, I didn't sort it out. Fail. But he's plus 4 in the plus minus. So obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, go back to that plus minus.
Team offense, he's 22nd in team offense. So that's what's hurting the team.
Right.
Even though he's giving up. But that's the thing that people don't talk about. Like I read an article this week about, hey, Carolina's scored more points than anybody in the NFL. Yeah, but when teams have a great defense, their offenses tend to score way more points than a team of their yardage ranking would. I looked at models like the 85 Bears and the 72 Dolphins. They had the number 1 defense in the league, and their offense was like mid-level, and they scored a ton of points. They were like among the league leaders in defensive touchdowns. They were had a tremendous plus-minus percentage, and it can work the other way. Lawrence's offense is bad, 22nd in yardage, so he's giving up more points.
I get field position. That can play into it too.
Yeah, you're giving them better field position. You're giving them more opportunities at the ball. If you have a great defense, you're stymieing the field position. You're giving your offense more opportunities at the ball, stuff like that. So, I know Carolina's leading in point score, and Newton's doing a great job, but that's not a great offense, So anyway, plus minus. Here you go.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that, so that's cool. Thank you for doing that. So,
it's in the. I posted on it. And Kirk Klein told me that's right there in their in-game reports.
Nice.
I didn't do anything. I just clicked on reports, leagues, plus minus. Yeah, Buffalo minus 19, NFL plus 15. The JTS Jets minus 7. Almost the whole league is like
0.
It's like 0, 1, 2. So which is
fair.
How about Pittsburgh's undefeated, only plus 1. We just had some turnovers against me.
Yeah, we're using
plus 5. Tampa plus 6.
The same D cards. That probably has a lot to do with it.
That's true. So a lot of it comes down to your offense and some luck and some good play calling with the double teaming. I think you can get more turnovers.
As evidenced by Ed's plus 15.
Yes, Kansas City's got left. Arizona, Detroit, Dallas, Green Bay. Maybe they win a couple of games. Maybe go 6-10. Maybe go 5-11. Maybe go 4-12.
The Jets. The JETS. Jets. That's
correct. There's 31-7 as that beat me. They gave the ball on time at 10 the last couple minutes. He could have scored a touchdown if he wanted. He didn't.
Why couldn't I have played you this year when you have a down year?
Because I would have beat you. Russell Wilson would have broken his leg in the first quarter. And then he would have broken his leg in real life the next week, and you'd have been like, oh, man, why'd I have to play Thomas here? I got bad luck.
The curse of the Irishman.
Yeah, I was 1-7, then 1-8. And when you're 1-8, Dennis, you're pretty low. Because this team is a bad team, But I was like, man, 1-8. I'm like, I should be like, geez, at least go 3-6 or something. Be bad, but don't be awful. And I was like, man, I'm going to go 2-14. I'm doing these shows and giving people advice. No one's going to want to listen to me, even though I knew my team wasn't good this year. But then miracle upon miracles, I won 2 out of 3. I beat the Texans 24-7. I beat the Bears. I beat the Bears first, actually, 23-16. And then I lost Ron 31-22. But notice the defensive improvement is something I gave up only in my first 3 games of this quarter. I only gave up 43 points. I was on pace to give up like 500 points. And now that's been improved. Oh, yeah, I will now not give up 500 points unless I give up 45 points a game. Let's see. I've got Green Bay, Arizona, San Fran, and Philly. So you figure I lose to San Fran, I'll be 3-10. That's an ugly record. But Arizona and Philly are bad also. And then Green Bay is 7-5. So I'll probably finish like 5-11, 4, 5, or 6, somewhere in there. And I'll probably I feel I'll be drafting about number 7 or so. Good.
I would love to see you upset Ed. Take Ed down a notch. But that'll make your season. That's your Super Bowl right there. AFC.
I had my chance against Ron. That was my Super Bowl. I had my chance against Ron. I blew it. I didn't blow it. He got all kinds of bad luck, and his team much better. And he's a great coach, and he outplayed me and won in the fourth quarter. But no, I'm planning on tanking against that. I don't want to pull them. I don't want to ruin my draft position.
You don't have to plan anything like that. It just happens.
I have enough trouble beating Ed when
exactly. You don't need to tank against Ed. He'll just beat you.
Yes, he'll tank. He'll make your team tank.
Exactly.
But actually, I played Ed pretty well the last couple of years in these leagues. I've started winning games against him actually pretty regularly.
Nice.
But this team, that's a tall order. If you got a bad team against Ed, it's just hard. Yeah. But he'll beat you. But it won't be like you get blown out. It's like I say that's gonna be 40-0. But it's like you're gonna lose like a nice solid 23-10 game, where like you score a touchdown with like 5.5 minutes left to make it 23-10. But and then at the end of the game, like, oh, that wasn't too bad. But it's like, yeah. And then you realize how you had like 120 yards until that last drive. Let's see. The Rams are 3-9. Isn't it fine? No, it's not fine. He's given up 1 more point to me. Okay. Take that, Wayne. He went 2-2 this quarter. He was also 1-7, and he beat Oakland by a field goal. He beat New England 24-23. Lost by 10 to Philly. We've got to talk about that game in a minute. Lost by 7 to Tampa Bay. So Wayne's been playing competitive football lately. He didn't want to go 2-14 either. He's got Cincinnati, Chicago, Seattle, and Arizona. So he'll probably win at least 1 more, get to 4 wins, maybe 5. He probably has a chance to draft ahead of me, which is unfortunate for me. The Giants, 2-7. They got to make up some games. He's going to play Pittsburgh. It's a loss. He's going to play Philly and Arizona. Renee always plays tough. So he might win both of those games. They're going to go to 4-8. Then he's got to play Atlanta, Oakland, San Diego, and Detroit. So he'll probably finish with 5 wins, maybe 6. Arizona is really getting hammered here. Scored 144, giving up 258. That's not good. That is a very negative point differential. He's still 2 games outstanding. He's still second worst in the league in point differential. And at 2-8, he was 2-2. That's bad. He was 2-2. They hate to go through that. He was 2-2, and he's lost 6 straight games. He's got a 34+ 3 times. He's got to play Denver. He's got to play the Giants. Those are not great teams. He's got to play Kansas City. He's got to play me, Detroit, and St. Louis. Actually, he plays everyone. Everyone he has to play has a losing record remaining. His best record remaining is 4-8. So he can maybe win a couple of games, get to 4-12 or something.
Yeah.
5-11 or something. I don't know. Then the Eagles. This is the team that really blew it, because this is the team. Didn't he trade? This is not the team that traded Tom Brady.
No, that's the team that traded. Who did he have? He had somebody else.
Okay, but anyway, yeah, this team is really awful. Jeff Booker took over this team, so it's not his handiwork. And they're really, really bad. And he wants Marcus Mariota in the worst way because he's an Oregon fan. Then he was out there and he wins a game. He beat the Rams. Wins a game against the team in the bad record. Beat the Rams by 10. So there's an example right there of a guy trying to win. Only lost by 6 to Green Bay. So he beat Kansas City in the second quarter, so he's not tanking either. He's 2-9. He's got to play the Giants. Then luckily for him, look at the schedule. He's got San Fran, Minnesota, and Tampa Bay. That'll help you get Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
So he's going to be 2-12.
He'll be fine.
He'll be 2-12 there, and then he's going to play the Giants and Jets. Probably at bets he's going to do is 3-13. It'll probably come down to him in Arizona. He might go 2-14. Probably come down to him in Arizona for the first pick of the draft. If Jeff gets it, it'll be Mariota, and whoever's drafting second and third and stuff can look at other players. So that's like the brief recap. We didn't even look at the rankings like we usually do. Let's take a look at the team defense. They say defense wins championships, but does it really? Dallas number 1 is 7-5. Green Bay number 2 is 7-5. Chicago number 3 is 5-7. Whereas offensively, Tennessee number 1 is 7-5. Seattle number 2 is 11-1?
Yes.
11-1. Green Bay number 3 is 7-5. What is Green Bay doing? Wow, look at this. Green Bay is third in the league in yards per game. They are second in the league in defensive yards per game. They are -4 in turnovers. But still, you think that team with that type of wow, how does that happen? He must have the worst special teams in history, or just had some really awful luck because he's third in yardage. He's third in defensive yards allowed. He's got -4 turnovers, but he's getting outscored by 6 points, and he's only 7-5. That's kind of crazy, don't you think?
It is. I think that we all know that Ron's a great defensive coach, but maybe he's been unlucky in some of these close losses. I don't know. He's got a lot of good close wins, more so than close losses.
He's outgaining the opponent by 1,200 yards in 12 games. He's averaging plus 100 yards a game, -4 in turnovers. Let's see. What else? Maybe penalties? He has been penalized. There you go, for 91 more yards than the opponent. That's only 9. That's only like 8 yards a game. So he's still outgaining you by 92 yards a game. Let's look at the return game here. He's winning the time of possession by almost 100 minutes, by 80 minutes rather. Let's see, return game. He's returned pretty much the same amount of yards he's given up, a very similar average on kicks. And then on punts, he's doing much better. He's got 386 yards on 20 returns compared to 86 on 10. So he's been sacked only 13 times. He has 22 sacks. Punting average is 2 yards less per kick, but I don't think that's gonna kill you. I don't think.
I'll tell you what it is. Ryan Tannehill has an excellent flat pass guard, and when you run a flat pass offense like that, it just needs one little mistake, a penalty, a holding penalty to put you in third and long or second and long, or a turnover, and your drive is sunk. So
now you do have to illustrate your point, you do have a red zone efficiency of 65% compared to 76%.
So that might be it.
So that hurts him. You do have receiving averages. Mike Wallace only has 33 catches at 15.3, but everyone else 12.7, 9.4, 8 to 7.9. So there might be something to what you're saying there. That when he has that odd sack or that penalty, he has a harder time overcoming it. And maybe when he gets into the red zone, he has a harder time punching the ball in. He's not getting the long touchdowns. But when you're third in the league in yards allowed, and only -4 turnover differential, and who knows, maybe he had one game when he was like +5 in turnovers, and been -9 the other games, which would explain a lot, where that type of thing happens. So maybe Ron, we were saying, Ron would be one of the teams more typical of a 9-7 team you'd want to play, but maybe not. Maybe not if he's number 3 in offense and defense. You don't want to play the team.
Right. Maybe he'll be up there and finish 11-5 and be ready to rock and roll in the playoffs.
Yes. Now, San Diego, let me ask you this question first. Dennis, have you ever played the game League of Legends?
My son plays it. I've watched him play.
Okay. I started playing it last week because a young lady who works for me told me that her and her friends play it. And she said I should play it because she knows I don't play PC games. So I've been kind of addicted and playing the hell out of the game for the last week, which I'll probably do after the show. I'll probably play some League of Legends before I go to sleep. Anyway, San Diego wants to see. San Diego's number 4. Oh, I should let's look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's 9-0. Pittsburgh, number 5 in offense, number 5 in defensive yardage. But more importantly, number 1 in points allowed per game at 13.9. And his turnovers are only like +1. So look at that. Just look at the difference. Pittsburgh's like 5-5 offense defense. Green Bay's like 3-3. The turnover differential is only 5 turnovers, and Pittsburgh's at 9-0, and then Green Bay is 7-5 and getting outscored. So there's something weird going on there, you know. And well, maybe Pittsburgh. Now I'm curious about his red zone efficiency. His red zone efficiency is 75. The opponent's 65. So that look, that makes a big difference. Touchdowns versus field goals. So he's plus 10% of red zone efficiency. Green Bay is minus 10%. Interesting to look at. And you know, and then it's also like, well, how do you work on that? I think mentally, you know, I remember reading somewhere a couple of years ago, because, you know, there's all kinds of advanced football stat and theory and philosophy articles coming out, that, you know, you really need to be aggressive and really think about touchdown and not, you know, and not field goal when you're down there, you know, inside the 20, you know, inside the 25, you know?
Right.
And I think, and I used to be guilty of that in Strato. I used to be the type of guy, run the ball, play defense, and if I'm at your 12, God forbid I jeopardize my field goal opportunity, you know? But think of it this way. If you're aggressive trying to score down there, are you going to get a turnover 50% of the time?
No.
Okay, of course not. You're not going to turn over half the time, okay?
Right.
You know, but a touchdown is worth more than twice as much as a field goal, you know?
Yes.
You know, you don't have that problem, but you have a great red zone efficiency because you have a lot of points scored. Let's see what you got going on there. You are at 79 to 71. You're +8. 79 is a very high red zone percentage, you know? So, you know, but it's something hard to work on because nobody wants to sit there at the 12 and fire short passes into the 4-man zone with that stupid 9, 2, 6, and 12. You kick yourself when you throw a pick there, you know? But, you know, I think to work on it, you know, you throw some bombs, you know, from like the 25 to the 40. When you know, where if you hit it, bang, it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that strategy.
You know, if you throw a flat pass from the 10, 11, or 12, you know, and I would say throw some bombs. Like I've thrown some bombs. Not this team's not competing, but like teams that were good in recent years. I've thrown some bombs like the 22, the 23, where normally it's like, oh boy, that's a high risk play. But number one, they're usually not expecting it. They're usually out of there.
Right.
You know, and if you hit it, bang, touchdown. You know,
yeah.
Automatic. There's no doubt about it. Unless you threw to some guy who can only go 20 yards, which you probably can't catch a bomb anyway.
Right. You really want to like I was saying with the flat pass type of offense. You're by going big, by trying to get those big plays, you're cutting down on the chances that you will have a turnover or a penalty, or some other kind of bailout role for the defense. So why not strike and try to get those points right away?
We're not cutting down on the chance of a turnover. I mean, long passes the riskiest play in the game, and plus a sack.
The fewer plays that you take to score, the fewer plays you have to turn it over. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you take a 10-play drive or you can score in 2 plays, yeah, you have 8 less chances that you could have turned it over. 8 less, you know, maybe there are far fewer chances because they're safer plays, but you know what I'm saying? Like something weird could happen. You know, a receiver fumble or something like that.
Yeah, I guess. But I think that, and of course, look, and it's STRAT football, but it's something that I think gets overlooked, and that guys, if they're struggling, need to think about is, am I settling for the field goal way too often? You know, and is it hurting me to settle for the field goal?
I've been going for it very aggressively on 4th down recently, 4th and 1 and 2, just about anywhere on the field. I've been going for it. Now that's probably stupid, but
I think I did that against Paul, like my own 25-yard line. My own 20-yard line.
I was like, so good when it works.
Yeah, but But I knew I was doing something risky. But that might have been when I was 1-8, and I was like, you know what, screw this. When I did it to Brad, I did to somebody, I was like, you know what? In that case, I was like, I'm 1-8. I have nothing to lose. I'm going to try and be aggressive and win here. But I know it's crazy. But there are articles, there are those, you know, crazy STRAT football, crazy NFL football stat guys who do say you should go for it all the time on like 4th and 1 or 2, almost no matter where you are. You know, because, you know, one thing they talk about is, and look, and I don't know if I agree with that or disagree with it, but it's interesting, and I go for it. quite aggressively, especially when I have a good offense. If I have a good offense with a core, like when I had SSFA Peyton Manning, like last year's card, yeah, I'm going to go for it. I'll go. If I'm at like the 50 and it's 4th and 3.
Yeah, of course it depends. Your personnel. It depends on your personnel.
Yeah, but especially if you're playing a 4-3. If I got a good offense with like a good multi-level quarterback, and you're playing a 4-3, and you don't have like 6-6-6 at linebacker, yeah, I'm going to go for it.
Nice.
Pretty much a lot, like anywhere from like my own 45 or 47 on. Oh, look, if it's 21-0 in the late third quarter and your offense isn't very good and I have a good defense, no, I'm going to kick it. But other times I'll go for it. But but no. So the advanced stat guy said you should do it because look, because this is one thing that they point out. And I'm not saying whether you should agree or disagree. And guys are now going to lose games going for 4th and 2 with their own 28 left and right. But when we talk about turnover differential, and we say, oh my God, you got to take care of the football. You can't have turnovers. A punt is a change of possession. A punt is like a turnover. It's 45 yards down the field. But you are handing the ball to the other team. Here you go. They got to go a long way and this and that. And I'm not saying that. I can hear Zeb like shaking it. Like I think Zeb's like pounding his monitor right now. It's like, no, run line buck. What are you doing? But and I'm not saying I do that. And I do think a lot of times when I play conventional, traditional football, it serves me better because I have gotten so kind of extreme a little bit, So at times, so I mean, like anything, there's a balance, there's a time and a place for it. But if you're a guy who just like, oh, it's 4th down, I'm punting, you should think about it a little more. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Well, 4th and 6, yes, because of run containment, sure.
Well, think about this. Think about this. When you're playing defense, and the guy decides to punt, you're happy. I mean, if he's at your 46 and it's 4th and 2, and he punts, you're happy. You did your job.
Relieved. You're so relieved. Like, oh, thank God he's punting. I thought he was going to go for it. Yeah. And I played a couple of guys lately who had like 4th and 2, 4th and 1, 4th and 3 at like my 43, 45, 46. And I was using a team that was not good defensively and they had a decent offense. And like it was like a close game and they punted. I was like, oh, thank God. I can't stop anybody. So I mean, so I don't, and like in no man's land, like when you're at the 38-yard line, I mean, I even like 4th and 8, go for it. You're going to punt the ball and you're going to get an 18-yard net punt. Congratulations.
Exactly.
That no man's land. Although with this team, I've been trying a lot of 54-yard field goals because Carpenter's like 2-7 after the 41.
Yeah, he's a stud.
But not next year. But anyway, so I think we're done with our show. I was looking at some numbers, but we talked about the team. We talked about football. Pretty good.
Okay. So let's shut the podcast down and then tell me about League of Legends because I've always wanted to kind of play it with my older son, and now if I play it with you and can kind of at least learn the game a little bit, maybe that'll give me another way to
I think the thing to do is to have you on the opposite team so I can kill you repeatedly and laugh at you.
That'd be great. I mean, I would love to. You know how
I would like that too. I would enjoy that too. And when we're done with that, you can replay the 0-16 Detroit Lions season, and I'll be the other team. Actually, I'll just use the 85 Bears every game.
Just remember your first year in the SIFA, how each of us had to go through a period of time where we just got our butts kicked. But that motivated you.
SIFA, the online Chris Cole thing?
Yeah, but when I first joined, I was in last place.
Yes. You said each of us. I was like top 4 right off the bat.
Well, okay.
But I guess
I was brand new to STRAT too. So
yeah, I've been playing STRAT football since 1978. So I already had 23 years of experience.
Okay, so when you first started playing STRAT football, you must have gotten your butt kicked.
Yes, I was 7 years old. My brother was 13. He kicked my butt regularly. Yes. I locked myself in the bathroom when I lost with the 71 Cowboys to the 71 Giants.
Oh, man.
I ran to the bathroom and locked myself in and wouldn't come out.
All right, well, let's just shut the podcast down. I'm ready to try this game.
Hold on. Real quick NFL. Real quick NFL talk. Carolina, are they going to go undefeated, yes or no?
They'll go undefeated in the regular season and lose to the Seahawks in the playoffs.
Who's gonna make the Super Bowl in the NFC?
Seattle.
If Seattle's going to lose, all right. If Seattle's going to lose, who do you fear more? Do you fear going to Arizona? Or do you fear going to Carolina?
Carolina, I think they have their
Really?
speed on defense is pretty incredible. I think this Seattle matches up better with Arizona. It's a division game. We know it. We know them. We played them all the time.
I thought you might say Arizona because Arizona played you guys so well recent years.
No, I think Carolina is a more physical team.
Okay. Seahawks defense is back for real.
As long as they don't put, well, they've cut him, so Kerry Williams is out of there, and as long as they don't lose any more bodies, Deshaun Shedd is playing a passable opposite cornerback to Richard Sherman, so he's doing a good Byron Maxwell imitation, and the guys up front are doing well. Frank Clark is coming on, Tyler Lockett's coming on, the younger guys are coming on, and Wilson's taking a step up. So I think that they have a good shot. I would feel so much more confident if Thomas Rawls wasn't hurt. But if they get beast mode back, and Bryce Brown can put a decent
is that a bad back
performance in the last 3 weeks of the season, they're in good shape. They're gonna beat the NFC East champ, and then have to go on the road to either Carolina or
any concern at all in your mind about beating first of all, don't you guys have the tiebreaker on the Vikings, so there's a good chance that's right, you'll get the okay. Any concern at all in your mind for a minute about traveling to play any of the NFC East teams? Washington, Philly, or the Giants? I would feel like the team that you might be
Giants. Giants would be the only one I would worry about. Yes, simply because Odell Beckham is so
it's not strat football. It's strat football. Well, I've seen the matchup. They couldn't cover him last year. I think they played him, but that's when they weren't allowing Sherman. Chris Richard, the defensive coordinator. I saw Beckham running around Sherman last year,
but he wasn't playing him 100% of the time. He would in the playoffs this year.
When he was on that side, Sherman had all kinds of problems.
Everybody has all kinds of problems with Beckham.
Yeah, I'm not knocking Sherman, but
what a matchup that would be. That would be great.
But it's not strat football. Strat football, you double team Beckham, no problem. But in the NFL, Beckham, he's just crazy. He really is.
Yeah.
I mean, their whole offense is Eli Manning to Odell Beckham. That's like their whole team. The defense isn't even any good.
I know, crazy.
And that's the other thing about Eli is I've never seen a guy who's like such a veteran, established quarterback, and he's been this way like for years, going back to the Super Bowls, who is so hot and cold. He can look so like there's sometimes where he's just totally lackluster, and then there's other games like the Miami game. There's other games where he cannot miss. He's just zip, 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 zip. 8 plays, 90 yards. 11 plays, 80 yards. And it's like, wow, Eli Manning is like Aaron Rodgers over here. He gets like, and with him and Beckham, and Beckham's just so fast. That would be a game that would concern me. And really, look, it's a playoffs, any road game. I would think you'd probably want to play Washington most. I mean, come on. Kirk Cousins.
They've won their
against Seattle defense.
No, I would love that because would be like the third or fourth time we beat them in the postseason, in the last 10 years. So
yeah, I think and even Philly, I think you'd feel like, all right, the chip's tricky and they got some weapons, but Sam Bradford against the Seattle defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and then we got so I think we'd agree that Arizona, Carolina, or Seattle, heavy favorites to come out of the NFC.
Yes.
I know Green Bay has the pedigree. They've got Rodgers. They've been struggling so much. Anything can happen. You get healthy at the right time, but it's hard to see. I mean, they're not going to enjoy Nelson back. Randall Cobb's been playing hurt all year, so he's going to still play hurt. I have a hard time. They do, and they've got a defense than advertised. But I have a hard time seeing them really do anything.
I agree.
I mean, could they go into Carolina, Arizona, and win? I guess, but so we'll see. I mean, until Carolina. Look, this is Carolina, Arizona's first time, being like these good home teams. And can they hold it as a 1 or 2 seed? I know Carolina won home game last year, 7-8-1. That was against Ryan Lindley.
Right.
Now over in the AFC, anybody going to beat the Patriots? Now the Bengals lost Dalton. He might be back for the playoffs.
Pittsburgh.
We don't know.
Pittsburgh looks dangerous to me.
Pittsburgh does look dangerous. But someone pointed out to me that they always lose to New England.
They always do until they don't.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Well, it was the same thing with the Patriots.
Will go all the way this year.
It was the same thing with the Patriots and Indianapolis. The Patriots had always beat Indianapolis until that one year when the Colts did it. So I could see something like that happen with the Steelers too.
You do you give a team? Okay, now if Denver has either Osweiler or a more effective but still not that great Peyton Manning, look, the Denver defense is excellent. Do you give Denver a chance to beat the Patriots?
Are they healthy? That's the thing. Is
The Broncos? Is
DeMarcus
Ware
Ware
playing?
back? Yeah, is he back?
Let's say DeMarcus Ware is back, and you're getting either a mid-level, you're either getting like an ordinary Osweiler or a Peyton that is better than he was before he sat out, but not vintage Peyton Manning, watered down Manning, but not dreadful.
Yeah, they could
basically getting Brock Osweiler, no matter how you slice it.
I think they could. I mean, it would be very unlikely, 25, 75, but they could do it.
Yeah. That defense is so good because they've got the great pass rushers and those corners. They've got 3 corners with Aqib Talib, Chris Harris, and Bradley Roby, who's on my SOMIFA team, all grading out very well in PFF. Harris and Talib already had the pedigree, so they can cover people, and the Patriots have no one to throw the ball to.
We haven't talked about Kansas City. Do you think
although for some reason that doesn't hurt the Patriots not having anyone to throw the ball to.
I know, isn't that crazy?
I know. It's like, yeah, let's sign some guys off the street. Hey, can you catch? All right, run this pattern. Bang, 80 yards.
Yeah, they might.
10 yards.
They just brought in Ishmaeli Kitchen. Maybe he'll be a trick red zone guy to catch touchdowns as a defensive tackle.
They worked out Steven Jackson.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
They did. They had some PFT. They worked him out. They worked out Steven Jackson. I was going to ask you with the Chiefs. Do you give the Chiefs any chance to be anything other than the same old Chiefs from the playoffs?
I do. I like that. They're talking about a good defense. Their defense is outstanding. Yes. I think the AFC playoffs are going to be very entertaining. I think the NFC playoffs will be entertaining when
the big guys come in.
When they play each other. But the AFC playoffs should be good all the way through, except for whoever plays.
You feel like the NFC, Arizona, Carolina, Seattle, or even Green Bay. Wow, marquee teams there because of what the job Arizona and Carolina have done this year, and that they have such good defense. Then the AFC, it's like New England, everybody's hurt. Denver, they've got no quarterback. The Bengals, not only are they the Bengals, but Andy Dalton's hurt. And it's like the Chiefs, like, come on, are you for real? It's the Chiefs. Then it's like, who's going to win the South? Who cares? They suck anyway. The only thing I would say is if Luck actually comes back, they're saying now he might not play all this year. And if you have a lacerated kidney, maybe you should probably sit out for a while. But if Luck comes back and plays like the final 2 games of the season and actually is playing like Luck, that would be a little interesting because teams like the Chiefs and the Bengals would have a hard time with the Colts now under that scenario. If Luck came back and played like Luck and the Colts got in the playoffs, I think that would be hard for teams like the Chiefs and the Bengals against the Colts. What do you think?
I don't think so. I don't think it's Luck's fault. But even if he played like Luck played, that team is so bereft of talent.
That's the way they've been that way the last 3 years.
They're not.
They beat the Chiefs last year in the playoffs.
This year is even worse. I don't know what to say. This year is even worse. I'm telling you. Look at their.
They're pretty bad. They've been bad for years, but now let me ask this question. Neither of us are medical professionals, obviously. If you had Andrew Luck, you do not have Andrew Luck in any leagues. I have in 2 leagues. If you had Andrew Luck, would you be concerned about the long-term ramifications of this year's injuries, and how concerned if you are?
Well, they got to protect him. They're not protecting him, and he's not protecting himself. I mean, you look at the way Russell Wilson plays. He is avoiding contact as much as possible. Luck. Yes, it's heroic that he stands in there and takes these shots and compliments the guys when he gets slammed, but that's not a recipe for longevity. He's in trouble unless he learns. Number one, they need to get better guys up front, and number two, he needs to learn to get rid of the ball. You don't have to win every battle, and sliding and getting out of bounds, whatever it takes. He's taking too much punishment. Yeah,
he has to. Yeah, you're right when you say basically he has to realize he is so valuable to the franchise that even though, and look, he's a big guy and he can run well, so it looks great when he's galloping down the field like Toby Gerhardt, but he's like 6'4", 238. He's a big guy, but he's a big target, and if he's going to run hard with the ball, then he's a runner, and he's not sliding enough, and he's going to get hit, and he's standing in the pocket and wants to make a big play down the field and does, but he's getting hit. I mean, him and Wilson were hurried the most it's interesting. I was thinking about this morning, and I'm glad that this came up because I wanted to mention this to you because you and I talked about Wilson and Luck so often, and you mentioned that Wilson does such a good job not getting hit, and I agree with that. It's some problems earlier this year, but that's because that line was so awful that even his elusiveness was not enough to stop him from taking some shots earlier in the year.
Well, I think real quick. I think what also hurt is that he didn't trust the line. He should have.
How could you? How could you trust the line? They're awful.
No, but he was rolling. He would look at his primary read. He would not see him open, and he would look for ways to get out of there. And he would run into a sack. That's what the problem was.
And thank God he did. Otherwise, he'd be in the cemetery. Because come on, he was harried relentlessly.
Yes.
But I was thinking this morning about Russell is such a small guy, and he doesn't have a slight build. He's got some thickness to him. That it's all he's built more like Barry Sanders, and like those smaller, shifty guys, it's harder to get a clean shot of them.
He's meaty. He's meaty. He's beefy.
Where if you let's leave that alone. But
did you see the picture?
Hold on. I did not. Thank God. I'm sure you'll post it somewhere. But,
there is a picture out there of Russell Wilson's naked ass, behind Cliff Averill in an interview, and yes, he's got plenty of padding on him. Let's put it that way.
Well, I'm not surprised you paid attention to that.
I want to put it up on my screen. That's add it to the podcast.
And that's between you and Mrs. Flower.
Russell.
I'm glad that I was about to make.
Mike Pedden said it was a second tier ass though, so we're a little bit upset about that.
Yeah, if my team was like if my team was 3-9, or 2 or whatever their record is, and basically couldn't do anything right, and I was the head coach. I might not want to criticize in any way a guy who's been in the last 2 Super Bowls, won the Super Bowl. Yeah. The Seahawks have everything. Yeah, the Seahawks have everything to play for, but yet you're playing Cleveland. It could be a trap game because, it's Cleveland. No one takes them seriously, and so you're the head coach, and you're gonna get the best player on the offense. You're going to get the star quarterback all riled up to beat you.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Good job. Good job, Mr. Penn. I bet they fire him after the season. What do you think?
I would imagine he's gone and Manziel's going to stay. So
yeah, they'll hire. I don't know who hires someone likes Johnny Football. I guess that'll be the first question in the interview. What do you think of Mr. Manziel? Oh, I like him because I'm an assistant and I want to get a job.
Exactly.
But since we're done talking about Russell Wilson's derriere, I can go back to my good football point, which is now ruined and totally sidetracked. but Wilson, and he's so small and elusive that those small, shitty guys, they don't take the big hits as often. Whereas like a bigger guy, like Luck, like he was a bigger, like a big running back, it's easy to lay a hit on that guy. So Luck definitely has to understand that caution is the better part of valor, or it's going to be a common theme. Because I was thinking about Big Ben. Because Big Ben is a big guy, bigger than Luck, and he's missed time with injuries throughout his whole career, especially in the last 4 or 5 years. He seems to be regularly missing 2 or 3 games. They've got an offense now where they get rid of the ball more quickly, partly because Antonio Brown is just a wizard, from like 10 yards and in, just get him the ball like 4 yards away, and it's a 10-yard gain. But yeah, so the Colts need to, like you said, the Colts got to put better people in front of him. The Colts have got to get him to understand that we need you to play every game, and you cannot be taking these hits, and maybe they need to get a coach and a system that maybe doesn't have him holding on to the ball so long. I don't know.
I agree.
One thing, though, it's fun to watch him throw the ball down the field, though.
Okay, so you can share my screen, right?
I'm not going to post Russell Wilson's ass.
Come on! This has to go down in history. As
I am not. This is going on YouTube. That would be NSFW, perhaps.
Come on.
No.
It's not. It's a side shot. It's
No, I'm not doing it.
I'm gonna have to do my own Russell Wilson second tier podcast.
Exactly. You can say it for that time. All right. So yeah, the NFL and the regular season is gonna be interesting. Spring drafts coming up. SOMIFA playoffs coming up. Autumn win playoffs coming up. So we'll probably be doing a spring draft show first because SSFA regular season is ending early January. Then you'll probably get SOMIFA like season recap show, probably like late January as that season ends. Then you'll get me calling SOMIFA regular season games and playoff games and autumn win playoff games. And you'll get an SSFA draft recap because that happened in late January. There'll be a lot of shows coming up in the next 6 weeks or so.
That's right.
And I owe Dennis an apology. I already apologized by email, an on-air apology for my vitriolic assault on Russell Wilson's performance. Derriere be damned. All right, we're going to sign off now. Go get Dennis. Yep. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. I accept your apology, but the tale of Russell Wilson's place in NFL history is yet to be written. So we'll see where he lands.
Yes, and by the way, let me say, as a Jet fan, since I mentioned the Jets, I do not think the Jets are going to make the playoffs. I think we're going to win this week. We'll be 9-5, and we'll
It's magic. It's Fitzmagic time, baby.
And we'll either lose both of our last 2 games against New England and Buffalo, or we'll split them, and we'll lose out on a tiebreaker to the Chiefs and the Steelers, both of whom are playing much better than the Jets. So
I'd like to see the Jets get in there. That'd be a fun.
I'd love to see the Jets get in there. Preferably, we can go to Cincinnati because we always beat the shit out of the Bengals.
And they have
we beat the Bengals in Cincinnati in '82 when they were defending champs in the playoffs. We beat the Bengals the last week of the regular season. We destroyed them, and then again destroyed them in the wild card round of Rex's first year. Then we played them in the playoffs the second year, I think, and destroyed them. Nice. So Andy Dalton, or bring him on. Andy Dalton, no, I like to see the Jets play the Bengals because the Bengals are the Bengals
team. I really wish Dalton wouldn't have gotten hurt. You would have seen for yourself that this is a different Bengals team. But now forget it. AJ McCarron ain't gonna happen.
As a Jet fan who's familiar with the phrase "same old Jets," I believe it's the same old Bengals until I see them do something else in January.
All right.
I know this looks like a much better team, and if Dalton was healthy, we could have seen maybe blah 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 blah. I understand all that, but remember, it wasn't just last year when the Chargers limped into the playoffs with not a very good team, like 9-7, and when they went into Cincinnati and they hammered the Bengals, it was like 24-0 at halftime. The Bengals had like 73 yards offense. They were awful, and I know the Bengals are better this year, but it wasn't even a contest. And
you gotta feel bad for Cincinnati fans.
I do not.
I would like to see them do well.
I do not feel bad for Cincinnati fans. I do not feel bad for Cleveland Browns fans. I feel a little bad for Detroit Lions fans because I don't know any Lions fans that I've had bad exchanges with. I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for the Cleveland fans only because of Wretch falling in love with Brian Hoyer and those types of. If you fall in love with Brian Hoyer, you deserve it. You deserve to have a big
who has more of a man crush? Me with Russell Wilson or Wretch with Brian Hoyer?
Well, given that he has not divulged any possession of nude photos of Brian Hoyer, I'm going to have to say that it's you with Russell Wilson that has the bigger man.
It just popped up on Twitter today, so I just bring it up because it's timely. But yeah, let's just say there's a reason why he's not getting hurt on those few times he gets hit.
All right, Dennis, leave it at that. All right, guys, that's the show. Signing off. Hope you enjoyed it. And Dennis, you'll stay around. We'll talk about some League of Legends.
Sounds good.
Later, guys. Bye-bye.